Welcome back, everyone, for some more Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. And we are continuing on day 1 of the trial in the case against Waki Kataki. And we are going to continue listening to Stickler's testimony, as we kind of left things off in the middle, but there's a reason why, which you guys will see towards the end of this episode. But before we do that, hope you guys have an awesome day today. Hope you guys doing well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and continue on with the testimony. Sounds like an addendum to the testimony is required. Witness testimony. A Night in the Park 2. As soon as the killer raised his pistol, I took action. "Seize this at once, you two," I cried with composure. The victim turned in the direction of my voice, and a shot rang out, whereupon our cowardly killer, the defendant, appeared to have become frightened. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. "I see. So you attempted to stop the crime." "Indeed. With composure." "Well, maybe the criminal wouldn't have fired if he hadn't shouted like that." But that doesn't really matter now, unfortunately. Let us consider this new testimony, shall we? Observe the diagram, if you would. The witness, Mr. Stickler was it, stood here. He shouted, "Oh, stop, please," or something of this nature, and the victim responded by looking in the witness's direction. If the killer would have fired at just that moment, as we can see, the bullet would have struck the right temple, as is in the report. That does seem to be the case. Witness the power of a junior in Ivy University's Department of Science. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may cross-examine the witness. Oh boy, do I. Because there's something very peculiar about that testimony just now that I'm pretty sure I got him on. Cross-examination. Okay. So as the killer raised his pistol, he took action. Victor turned in the direction of his voice, whereupon the killer appeared to have become frightened. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. Oh, really? Objection! Wait a second. Tisk tisk, another misleading request. Yet you're still beholden to your own mode of discourse. You can't see how it affects you. Come again? Wait a second, you say. A second? Are we intended to wait just that? A single second? 1/60th of a minute? That's hardly enough time to draw a breath, let alone make a statement in court. Now, had you asked for a longer period of time, say 3 minutes 35... Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor? Am I to understand you are objecting to the length of a second? Yes, I mean, no. Here, just look at the pistol. It doesn't have a single fingerprint on it. Ah, common ploy made all the more common, I fear, by the prevalence of television. Criminals these days are loath to leave fingerprints. Wait, but you said the killer tossed the gun and ran. That's right. He didn't have time to wipe the gun for prints. Ah, the little girl sticking it to the university student. There's a song in there. I'm not little. Then let's think like adults, shall we, Fraulein? Eh? What if the killer, the defendant, was wearing gloves? Gotta admit, I didn't think of that, Apollo. Well, Mr. Justice? Could the killer have been wearing gloves? No way. The record of the murder weapon is very clear about one thing. The fingerprints were wiped, which means some trace of prints remain. Which contradicts your testimony. If everything happened as you say it did, he wouldn't have had time to wipe the pistol. That may be, but it does not change what I saw. The killer, the defendant, he threw down the murderous weapon from his hand and fled. And this pistol was found at the scene of the crime, strongly suggesting this was the weapon he disposed of. That sounds solid to me. Well, her forehead, any of your precious objections? What gives, Apollo? Let's see that voice training go to work. You know, I've only recently realized something. No matter how much you train your voice, it doesn't matter if you have nothing to say. What do you mean, nothing to say? Isn't it obvious from what the witness just said? Huh? Isn't what obvious? When he restated what he saw just now, he said he saw Waki drop a murderous weapon. But that's not the same as being 100% sure what Waki threw away. You're right. He's just confused because a pistol was found at the scene. Poor Mr. Stickler. It must be hard to be so perfect and yet so wrong. Well, it can be said that I'm quite offended. While it is indeed true that once in my youth I wrote a love letter... Oh, here we go. What can we say for certain is that the witness saw the killer throw something. Does the defense have anything to say about this? Well, if what he threw wasn't a pistol, then it had to be something else. At least one person on the defense team seems to be thinking. Ugh, I'll wipe that smile off your pretty face, Gavin. Perhaps you can inform the court as to the nature of this something else. What did the killer throw away before fleeing the scene? Well, it wasn't the pistol. It happened to be the thing that does have fingerprints on it, the knife. Is that a sword? I saw one of those on the late-night movie last night. Great, a sleep-deprived judge. This knife was found at the scene of the crime, with the defendant's prints on it. His prints? This single piece of evidence proves two important things. One, that what the defendant threw down wasn't a pistol. Two, that the defendant wasn't wearing gloves. Indeed. Oh, hair forehead? You're forgetting two other things you just proven. Huh? One, that the man the witness saw was the defendant, Mr. Waki-Kataki. Two, that the defendant was holding a knife with the intent of harming the victim. Oh! Indeed. Grr. Never underestimate a Gavin is the lesson here. This court is of the opinion your witness is fond of making assumptions. In that light, I believe it would behoove us to hear about what really occurred. With less assuming, please. It is always the same with you people. Mark left the house on foot and 5 minutes later his brother left after him. How long would it take for Mark's brother to catch up to him? Assuming that Mark never had to stop for a traffic light. Assuming, yes, that's what I said, assuming. As if that were a probable situation at all. Yet here you are assuming that my assumption is no better. What this court assumes is that the witness will testify as to what happened after the shot was fired. Witness testimony. From shot to call. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene, nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Why didn't you chase the killer? He was, as you say, a killer. Of course, I could have run him down, yet what would he have done when cornered? Sadly, it takes more than the aptitude for solving quadratic equations to know that. Did the testimony earlier not prove the defendant's presence at the scene? And do we not also know that there was no one else there? It seems clear that we have our killer. Does it not? Does it not, Mr. Justice? I'd better find a way to take this testimony down quick. Cross-examination. From shot to call. Okay, could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene. Let me go ahead and save. I forgot to do that. Which way did the killer run? By that time, it was clear the killer had noticed me. Naturally, he ran in the opposite direction. That would mean he ran in the opposite direction from the Kataki mansion. Chum, don't even think about pointing out that he was going away from his home. All he had to do was loop back once he was out of sight. How did he know that's where I was going? Nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. You were certainly composed for someone who had just witnessed a killing. If one is to devote one's life to the pursuit of science, one must never flinch at the sight of a little blood, nor be so moved by a chemical discovery that one drops one's flask upon the lab room floor. Ooh, cool answer. Very cool. So nothing strange about how he acted. Juicy looks like she has something to say. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Was it your first thought to call an ambulance? It can be said that I have dabbled in medicine. The injury I witnessed, namely a single shot to the head, tends to result in death. Ergo, there was no need for me to call an ambulance. Oh, a perfect syllogism. A proof in 3 parts. Exquisite. Simply exquisite. He actually looks like he's gonna cry. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Can you tell us in detail about these 10 minutes? I stood in a state of heightened awareness. Anything could happen at any moment. Anyone could appear from any direction. Is that all? No one came. Nothing happened at all. I saw it all, which is to say, I saw nothing. It was late at night. It's not odd to think there would be few people around in the park. So he just stood there, watching? Not much going on there. Juicy, if you've got something to say, by all means say it. I can't find a single problem in that testimony. Had enough at last there, forehead? Maybe it's time to back off a bit. Yeah. There's nothing fishy about that testimony at all. It appears there are no objections to the witness's current testimony. There are any number of ways to explain the lack of prints on the pistol, I assure you. Perhaps the killer really was wearing gloves which wiped the previous prints off. Then, after the deed was done, this fell out of his pocket as he was throwing the gun away. A mistake befitting of a small-time punk, in my opinion. No. No! Uh-oh. Seems we've come to the end of the line here. No, that can't be all. How unfortunate. It seems that you weren't cut out to stand on the same stage as me. Were you, Air Forehead? I believe this brings the cross-examination to a close. This court will now declare a verdict for the defendant, Waki Kataki. Eek! Holy heck. Juicy? Nobody move. Well, what's the meaning of this? Who are you? There'll be no verdict in this court. Not yet. Wait, are you one of the Katakis? The Katakis? You mean the notorious gangsters? If you don't want to see me give the pretty little girl a new smile, do as I say. Adjourn the court for 20 minutes. What? This court will not bow to pressure from the likes of... Herr Judge. I see little point in further aggravating this gentleman. Recess, 20 minutes. Well, I promise you, you'll regret it. Wait, how did he disappear so fast? Come to the defendant lobby, Apollo. I suppose I have no choice but to adjourn for a 20-minute recess. Bailiff, catch that mysterious man. Yeah, how did he even get in? Okay, we are going to go ahead and save. And I think we're going to keep going here. Okay. We are going to continue on to the next chapter. June 16th, 11:17 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 2. Juicy! Juicy! You move quick, Apollo. Good show, good show. Juicy, you okay? I thought... Sniff, saw, ball. Don't cry, Apollo. Those good-for-nothing gangsters. There's some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Wait, just calm down, Apollo. Or else... What the heck is that? Surprise? This is one of my best tricks, the amazing Mr. Hat. You look marvelous, darling. He's a big hit on stage at the Wonder Bar. Yes, I am a big hit. Well, what do you think? Do you like it? You mean you... Juicy, there are some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Apollo, now is not the time to be threatening me. It's you who's being threatened here, huh? Remember what you said to Waki's father yesterday? You promised you'd save his son. But that testimony was rock solid. What are you suggesting I do? Look, once a judge declares a verdict, it's all over. If I could use my talent to stop that from happening, I will. Juicy, no more staged abductions, please. I'm not talking about magic, Apollo. I know when the witness isn't confident. I can perceive what he's feeling. It might not mean anything, but it's all we've got. You can see what he's feeling? Think back, Apollo. Think back to the times when there was a contradiction in his testimony. All the times. All the times there was a contradiction? I don't remember. Actually, I don't remember them exactly. Good thing I do. There were 2 times when he made statements he wasn't confident in. And each time there was a contradiction. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man holding the stand. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. He said the man tossed aside a pistol, but it turned out he wasn't sure, and sure enough there was a contradiction. Well, that's true, but how does that help us? Didn't you notice anything? Whenever he made a statement he wasn't confident in, he displayed a certain habit. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling. Did you see it? The very moment he said the word pistol, his fingers got all tense and he fiddled with the corner of a page in his book. How am I supposed to see that? Well, I could see it. How else do you think Daddy went 7 years without losing a game of poker? What? I always sat next to Daddy during big matches. I could see what his opponents were feeling. You mean that's how Mr. Ike won all those games? It's not cheating officially. I wasn't looking at their hands or anything. And I wasn't there all the time either. Daddy's quite good at poker after all, but not good enough to go undefeated that long. Great, so he cheated, but what does that do for us? I don't believe this. You have to listen to his testimony one more time. No, scratch that. You have to watch his testimony, perceive the truth. Watch a testimony, perceive the truth? The only thing I'm perceiving is that I'm gonna lose. Not true. Daddy said so. He said you have the power, Apollo. Mr. Wright said that? Watch the testimony, perceive his true feelings. Is she serious? Time's up. Sorry, I can't think of any other way out of this one, Apollo. What was that she said before the trial started? Huh, Mr. Wright's not here today. He said his old foot injury was acting up. Yes, he smiled when he said we'd be fine as long as you're there, Trucy. Is this what he meant by us being fine? Well, methods aside, she did avoid one guilty verdict already today. Time to show this court what I'm made of. Get ready for justice. Let's do it. Apollo, you know, I'm starting to think I can do this. I knew you could do it all along. Oh, one more thing. Try to cover for Mr. Hat as best you can. I just flew in from the coast, and boy, are my arms tired. Right. June 16th, 11:40 a.m. District Court, Courtroom Number 4. Court is now back in session. Right, we're fine. I'd like to say to the young lady standing next to you, Mr. Justice. Oh, you mean me? Don't you have anything to report? Anything concerning the mysterious phantom in the silk top hat? Ah, right, him. Don't worry about him. I settled that. You settled that? Yes, it was an out-of-court settlement. Right. Perhaps Fraulein would have us believe it was nothing more than a passing dream. A fantastic illusion. Now you see it, now you don't. Am I right? I think he's on to me. I wish he would stop being so cool. Let us dispense with these niceties and get straight to the matter. What are your plans for a gifted witness? But wait, the defense would like to request another cross-examination. Because I forgot to ask something. There was no issue with the witness's previous testimony. I will grant your request, however, but this court will not permit stalling for time. Understood, Your Honor. Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. Okay, witness testimony. Could I prevent the killer from leaving the scene? Or could I simply leave the scene in good conscience? Yeah, we pretty much read all this. I'm not sure I'm qualified to watch testimonies after all. Focus, Apollo. Find his weak spot. Focus. If only it were that easy. My ears hear what he says. My eyes see his expression. Do I have to do something more? What other senses do I have? Well, what's this? My bracelet? What's going on? My bracelet feels different somehow. I think Daddy was right. You can see it, can't you, Apollo? You're almost there. Find the weak spot in his testimony. I know this sounds crazy, but my bracelet is trying to tell me something. Okay, let's do this. Okay, could not prevent the killer from leaving. Could not leave in good conscience. Use the cell phone to call his police. The police. So you called immediately after witnessed the murder? The police undoubtedly have a record of the call. Why not check with them? Wait, Apollo! This has to be it. Wait, you mean his habit? Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. The only time he even had a book open was here. Which means this is a place to look for his habit. I don't know how I know, but I know. Know what? It's my bracelet. It's different somehow. I can feel it reacting to something about the witness. Your bracelet? I'm not sure I get this focus stuff you were talking about, Juicy, but I have a feeling that trusting my bracelet is the way to go. Okay, I just need to touch my bracelet with X as it reacts to the testimony. Well, what's going on? I can see the witness's face, his expression so clearly. It's filling my mind. I can see nothing else, hear nothing else. Oh, hey there, Seb. Apollo? Juicy, what's happening to me? This is what I meant by focusing. Focusing. In this state, you can see everything, Apollo. Everything the witness does. Now that's great, but this is kind of freaking me out. Just look for Mr. Stickler's twitch. His habit. You remember it, right? Sure, when he says something he's not sure of, he fiddles with a page of his book. You got it. Right now you're looking at the witness's face. And your eyes are sort of bugging out. I bet they are. First, move your focus of attention down to Mr. Stickler's hand. His hand? You know what to look for now, but you have to be looking at the right place. She's right. I can only see his face like this. Time to try changing my viewpoint. Perfect. Now you're really ready. Ready for what? Ready to perceive the truth behind the twitch. Perceive? Try listening to the witness talk as you focus. Then watch for his habit. Right, you mean when he fiddles with a page. That's right. That's your signal to look closer to perceive with X. Find his weak spot and I'll guarantee we'll be able to give him the royal flush. Spoken like a true pokerhead's daughter. I'm a magician, thank you very much. So I have to pay attention to his words and his fingers. Don't worry, if you miss it, you can always try again. Right, look out, nervous twitch. Here comes justice. Ergo, I used my cell phone.
Gotcha!
I saw it, just now. I could see it. Mr. Justice, do you have something to say? Oh, this banging of desks. It's quite bad to my circulation, you know. Mr. Stickler, allow me to ask you a simple question. Why did you fiddle with the page of your book just now? The very moment you mentioned your cell phone? What are you talking about? I'm curious now about the cell phone of yours. Mind if I ask a few questions? What to ask? What to ask? Well, what about ask to see his phone? Mr. Stickler, please show me your cell phone. Well, why? Whatever for? Show me, and you'll find out. Well, I can't. I don't have it, you see. You don't have it? Mr. Stickler, is this your cell phone? Yo, where did you get that? That's a phone from yesterday. Look, a cell phone. Someone dropped it beneath this tire. If the car moved, it would be crushed for sure. I wonder if it belongs to the doctor here. How strange, Mr. Stickler. Can you explain why your cell phone is sitting here in my hand at this very moment? Wait a minute, what is the meaning of this? This cell phone was found yesterday in the Maractus Clinic garage. The Maractus? Why, that's where the victim lived. Yeah, that's impossible. Mr. Stickler, you lied to the court, didn't you? If your cell phone is here, how could you have called the police? That's a good question. It's true. I didn't have my cell phone that night. That is why it said that I can call the police from a public payphone. A payphone? So you didn't call on your cell phone after all. Just where was this payphone located, Mr. Stickler? Well, to indicate it with a startlingly high degree of accuracy, it was right around here. That's quite a ways from the park. But why did you lie? There can be only one reason. He didn't want the court to know he had lost his cell phone. Because it was found in the victim's garage. What are you saying? Mr. Stickler, you broke into the Maractus Clinic garage on the night of the murder. This cell phone tells all. But that's ridiculous. That makes it sound like I snuck into this fellow's garage to commit some crime. As though I were trying to kill him. Well, Dr. Maractus was killed that night. Yes, but no. This line of reasoning has to be against the rules. Yes, it's true, I lost my cell phone, but you can't prove that I lost it that night. Well, Mr. Justice, if that cell phone was dropped the night of the murder, it does raise considerable suspicions as to a connection with the crime. Now's your chance, Apollo. Connect Mr. Stickler to the crime. Oh, he's already connected enough. I just have to prove it. Well, do I have a piece of evidence that can do the job? Can I prove the cell phone was dropped on the night of the murder? Yes, I do. Of course I have evidence. Oh, I like your swagger, forehead. Hit it. The court will see this evidence, Mr. Justice. Hit it, as they say. The evidence that proves the cell phone was dropped on the night of the murder is... well, it's the thing that's missing from the car. That's a side view mirror. As it so happens, Dr. Maractus' car was in an accident that took place the night of the murder. An accident? An accident. It happened a little after 9 p.m. just outside People Park, or a murder scene. Dr. Maractus' car hit a pedestrian. Well, what are you trying to say? From the absence of a mirror, it's clear that the car was parked after the accident. Which means it was parked there after 9 p.m. on the night of the murder. If your cell phone had been dropped before the car was parked in that garage, then it would have been crushed. After all, it was lying on the ground right under the wheel. Look. Ergo, Mr. Stickler, the only time you could have dropped this in that garage was after 9 p.m. the night of the murder in the park. I love this music. Mr. Stickler, you know what this means. You did break into the victim's garage that night. This is most unexpected, Mr. Justice. Are you naming the witness as a suspect in the murder of Paul Maractus? No, stop. This is too much. This can't be happening. Prosecutor, say something. I suppose it is worth saying this. No connection has been found between Wesley Stickler and Paul Maractus. That is, other than this. I believe our next testimony will be the most revelatory. Is a witness prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I know that face. That's the face of guilt. Witness testimony. Stickler's quote-unquote truth. That night, yes, I went to the supermarket. I must have dropped my cell phone on the way back. And when I was walking through the park, I happened to witness the crime. I saw the killer, the victim, the stand, all as clear as day. It was him. I saw the defendant at the scene. Yes, but your cell phone was lying in the garage. Hey there, Ryan. Ah, yes, well, as you can see, my model cell phone has a defect. It is given to rolling. It's quite a pain when I drop it alongside the road, you know. Looks like a normal cell phone to me. In any case, Mr. Justice, the cross-examination, please. And I'm gonna go ahead and save. That's funny. My bracelet didn't react at all during our testimony. His nervous habit must not be acting up. I didn't sense anything either, actually. Looks like you're on your own this time around. Right, no problem. I hope. Here comes Justice. Okay. That night, he went to the supermarket. He must have dropped his cell phone on his way back. And when he was walking to the park, he happened to witness the crime. He saw the killer, the victim stand, all clear as day. This part of the testimony is the key. I know it. Should I press him about the killer, the victim, or the noodle stand? I think I'm actually gonna press him on the noodle stand. Do you happen to remember the noodle stand? Quite well, yes. For a student of the sciences, keen observation and healthy curiosity are vital. I remember everything. I could even read the sign. I believe it said, Noodle. Yes, that was it. For remembering something quite well, it sure took you a while to tell us. And thank you for telling us that a noodle stand sells noodles. Very enlightening. Well, Mr. Justice? What about that sign? Could that be more? That's very important because he just made a very critical mistake. So the sign on the noodle stand said noodle? It appears the defense has just obtained a vital piece of testimony. Is this noodle stand's broth really that delicious? I'll have to go sample the wares one of these days. I think that's worth adding in the testimony as well. Whatever sort of noodles that stand sells, it can't match up to IVU's cafeteria. Some apply to school merely for a taste of her smoked noodles. I wouldn't mind a taste of that myself. Well, I even remember the sign on the victim stand the victim was pulling. It said noodle. Okay. I got him.
Objection!
And you're absolutely sure the sign read noodle? Why, just last week my professor offered me this praise. At least you have good eyesight, Stickler. I'll give you that. It read, without a doubt, noodle. I see. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Is that pity I see in your eyes? Let's take a look at our map, shall we? So you're claiming that when you saw the sign you were standing here, was it? Although it would have been a bit hard to read the sign from this spot. You think so? Mr. Stickler, I'd like you to please take another look at the stand, and to carefully read what the sign says. See, the sign actually states the name of the stand's owner. L. Dunes. Inconceivable. I'm certain it was definitely Noodle for sure. Positive. I'm afraid your professor was wrong about that eyesight. I wouldn't be so quick to jump to that conclusion. The sign he saw changes everything. The witness says the sign said Noodle. And you know what? I think he actually saw it right. Why would you say if I told you... What would you say if I told you that there is one spot from which the sign would be read the way Mr. Stickler claims? What? Mr. Justice, show us that spot. The witness was actually viewed to stand from this location.
Take that!
The witness was standing here, on the opposite side. How do you know that? When viewed from the south, the sign on the stand reads El Dunes, as we know. However, observe the other side of the stand. Oh, this side says Noodle. Exactly, the name of the stand is split between the front and back signs. Mr. Stickler, you lied to the court. You witnessed the crime from the northern side of the park, not the south. Yeah, you got me.
Objection!
So what? So what? What does it matter if he saw the killing from the north or the south side? It makes no difference at all. He's right. Travel far enough to the south and you will end up going north. Viewed on a global scale, directions are utterly without meaning. Actually, maybe he's right. What does it change? It changes everything, Apollo. Juicy? Remember his testimony from before. Though, to be honest, I'm a little scared of where this is leading. The killer and the victim are facing each other here. Then, at the moment the killer raises his weapon, Mr. Stickler shouts. At which point, the victim turns his head to look, and the killer fires his pistol. That's why the bullet hit him in the right temple. No contradictions, right? Right? But if Mr. Stickler was standing on the north side of her, that reverses the whole scenario. Completely. If Mr. Stickler shouts from where he is now, and the victim looks in his direction, the bullet would have to hit his left temple. In other words, someone standing at point K couldn't shoot the victim in his right temple. It's impossible. That's right. So, now that we know that Mr. Stickler is standing on the northern side, the wound location takes on an entirely different meaning. Indeed, you are absolutely correct, Fraulein. What meaning? The entry wound was on the right side of the victim's head, correct? Well, the right side of the victim's head is north. North. But that's where the witness, Wesley Stickler, was standing. Correct. So if he was standing to the north, then the only person here who could have shot the victim in the right temple was Mr. Stickler himself. Order! 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 Wow, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. She's flipped this whole case on its head while I was still figuring out.
Objection!
Clarify one point for me if you would, Forehead. What now? Are you truly accusing this college student of murder? Well, I can't say he exactly looks innocent, but something still doesn't feel right. I just can't picture him as the real killer. No, please, looks aside, I'm really a nice guy. All my friends say so. Let's hear what the defense has to say. What are you going to do now, Justice? Should I really accuse Mr. Stickler? Well, I'm not going to really accuse him of murder, but I am going to accuse him of another crime. I don't think Wesley Stickler is a killer, but he is not innocent either. His unusual silence tells me that much. Mr. Stickler, you seem unusually quiet. Tell us why now. The word confession isn't in my dictionary. Tisk, 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 Forehead. I'm afraid it falls to you to elucidate Stickler's silence. Mr. Justice, you did say you were accusing the witness just now for a crime other than murder. Your reason? The court's all ears. I know he's guilty of something, but what crime other than murder is there? Do I have evidence that shows an involvement in some other crime? Your evidence. The court's all eyes, Mr. Justice. Show us evidence that points to the witness's involvement in a crime. Well, what about Trucy's panties? The evidence is this. What? Is that women's underwear? Hey, those are mine. It's an odd reaction. Don't look at me like that! Order, order, order! Mr. Stickler. Well, I can't say this comes as a shock. It's not what it seems. By Pythagoras' theorem, I swear. Pythagoras. On the night of the murder, just past 9 p.m., a young girl catches a panty snatcher red-handed. Bravely, she gives chase, but the snatcher flees and hides himself in no other place than the Miraculous Clinic garage. Aha! Incidentally, These panties were found in the exhaust pipe of the car there. Presumably, he was trying to hide the evidence of his crime. Ergo, while you may not be a murderer, you are guilty of panty snatching in the first degree. Please, hear me out. It's not what it looks like. Order, order, order! Mr. Stickler, you should be ashamed. It's not what it... See... Eames. Oh, man. So, are we to understand that you were silent not because you were guilty of murder, but because you lacked courage to admit you theft this girl's undergarments? Perhaps you are not aware that my school's name was originally written Ivy. I stands for intelligent, V stands for valiant. See? Your point? I'm not done. Now, I'm a major in the science department. And what does science teach if not curiosity? Yes, we of the IVU science department are valiantly curious. No challenge is too daunting, and what greater challenge? Come on, you're talking about a girl's panties here. No, you do not understand. A mystery is the unknown, and the unknown is unacceptable. And, my friends, when it comes to mysteries, those panties are the promised land. From the moment I first laid eyes on them, I was compelled to investigate. For science, a full-size car tire was only the first real mystery those panties revealed. A tire? Yes, I saw her do it. She pulled a tire out of those panties. But that's not all. First there was the tire, then a stew pot, and a frozen chicken. One mystery after another. It was magic. Oh, I remember now. He's one of the regulars in the audience at the Wonder Bar. Huh? You saw about my magic panties trick. I just don't understand. A broom for a pair of panties? Mocks the very laws of physics. A broom and a frozen chicken, juicy? Whatever happened to doves and bunny rabbits? But Mr. Stickler, you stole this girl's panties to understand a magic trick? You say panties, but they are so much more than that. For me, they are an object of serious study. I wonder. There has been a recent rash of panty snatchings in the area. Were they all you? I'm sorry, but I did it for science. Each time I spied a pair of panties flapping in the breeze, I thought maybe this would be the pair that would elucidate the mystery. Even that night as she chased me through the streets, I wept tears of joy. Perhaps this is the night that I will seize the truth that lies within those panties, yet woe was I, for once again at least heard pat and truth slipped at my fingers. Still, that leaves one thing unexplained. Ah, you refer to our witness's other lie, yes? The witness claimed he saw the crime from the south, but was in fact in the north. Indeed. Would anyone care to explain why you lied about that? Be my guest there, Forehead. Me? Did I not hear you correctly? Did you not say you do not accuse the witness of murder? Why then did the witness lie about his location at the time of the shooting? Or have you no idea? Apollo, there's something about the way the diagram is arranged right now. When you think about it, right near the where Mr. Stickler was standing, isn't there... Well, Mr. Justice, what say you? Do you have any evidence to show why a witness lied about his location? I think I do. And since we're talking about panty snatching, what about these? The evidence that shows why he lied is this. What? More panties? How many panties are you carrying in your pocket there, Forehead? These are the last, honest. These were found in a trash can at the park. Looking at the diagram, we can see that the trash can was right next to where the witness stood. Mr. Stickler, you didn't... Alas, I'm a failure as a scientist. I can't unravel the mysteries of the universe. I can't even unravel a pair of panties. So, these panties are your handiwork as well? But that night, I had been chased, hounded into the miraculous clinic garage. Weeping in frustration, I was forced to abandon my prize. Don't you see how I felt? Believe me, I'd rather not. I hid in the garage for a short while, then, abandoning the panties, I made for home. To avoid the police where the girl worked, I went towards the south entrance. When I saw them hanging there on a clothesline by a giant mansion. A giant pair of panties. Apparently he didn't know those bloomers belonged to the mob. I had them safe in my pocket, ready to take home. When I stumbled upon a murder. The murder of Dr. Maractus. I reported what I had seen, but as I waited for the police to arrive, I got scared. What if they searched me? That's when you disposed of the bloomers? Yes, it was a severe blow to the progress of science, but one that had to be borne. Fascinating if disturbing tale. I believe this brings today's proceedings to a close, and I'm more than pleased to dismiss this witness for the remainder of the trial. One last thing if I might. Yes, Prosecutor Gavin? Regardless of where we ended today, some vital points were made. Namely, that the defendant, Waki Kataki, was at the scene of the crime, and he was pointing a weapon at the victim. One more thing. Waki Kataki has a clear motive. Indeed, the defendant Waki Kataki is still the prime suspect in this case. The only suspect, in fact, assuming there was no one else on the scene in that time. Yet a mystery remains. The location of the wound in the victim's right temple has yet to be explained. The court requests further investigation from both the defense and prosecution. Yeah, baby. No problem. Very well. This brings the trial for the day to a close. Court is adjourned. And so is this episode. And I probably should have broken this episode down. I probably should have put the first 15 minutes of this episode in the last one, but I just felt that because of how things unfolded, especially towards where Trudy was quote unquote abducted, I just felt I didn't want to interrupt that flow, and I wanted everything to just come along, just as it did as you guys are watching this, as I'm recording this. So yes, I could have stopped at the recess, but at the same time, though, like I said, I just wanted to have things flow. I really didn't want any interruptions in the abduction and Chusey's reasoning behind it and trying to figure out what was going on with Stickler and that. But I'm not going to babble on anymore. We are going to end this episode, and next time I see you guys, we will be going on day 2 in the investigation in the case against Waki Hitaki. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. But thank you guys so much for watching this. Hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I'll be seeing you guys again next time.